What's going on, everyone? This is Radical618 here. We're going to be reviewing the Summer Game Fest Showcase event. I am live right now on twitch.tv/Radical618. You guys probably won't be seeing that if you're watching this on YouTube, but you can go ahead and follow me there for really fun, chill gameplay most of the time. Sometimes it does get a little bit sweaty. I don't know if they announced what the heck we're going to be seeing in this showcase, but the Summer Game Fest is something that I'm super excited for. I think that in lieu of being able to do E3 and even San Diego Comic-Con and PAX events and everything like that, this is going to be a really solid way to get gamers the information that they await, every summer. So last week I did a rad review of the Xbox Series X reveal. The feedback was kind of so-so because some of that gameplay was not really gameplay. But I have no idea if anybody in chat, I am live right now, so if anybody in chat knows what this is supposed to be about, please let me know, because I obviously don't know. But yeah, so we're going to see what this is. Hopefully I think it's just going to be information on when and where we can find gameplay. Mafia Trilogy. So there's an EA Play announcement event in June 11th, I think, and that's where I think we're going to get the Mass Effect announcement. If anyone didn't know, there's been a small, not leak really, but just kind of like hint that we're going to be getting that as a remaster. But we'll see what it is. I think this is just going to be information about when and where we can find stuff. Let me turn this up. This is quiet. All right, let's see how it goes. Here we go. Back to gameplay after this. Maybe I'll actually play them then. Well, I of course bought the Mass Effect trilogy recently, and then of course they're gonna announce a remaster. Shaky, get out of here.
Technical Director of Graphics here at Epic Games.
Hi, I'm Jérôme Plateau, Art Director of the Special Project.
A few years ago, we got together as a team and brainstormed where we thought we could push forward state-of-the-art and real-time graphics. There were two key areas that stood out.
Let me know how the volume is, guys.
Dynamic global illumination. Beautiful bounce lighting instantaneously.
I don't have to be constrained to do a game where the world has to be static, and I'm able to iterate a lot faster.
And we call this new system Lumen. We're about to show you what it is capable of. But first, there was another area
okay, I'll turn it up.
We thought we could push forward. Truly virtualized geometry. The artist wouldn't have to be concerned over poly counts.
It's quiet for me too.
Memory.
So
could directly use film quality
doing the
assets
best I
and bring
can
them straight into the engine.
And that's a big deal for artists. I just want to be able to import my ZBrush model, my photogrammetry scan, my CAD data without wasting any time optimizing, creating LODs, or even lowering the quality to make it hit frame rate.
In the end, that's what it's all about. Art that just works. And we call this new technology Nanite. Here is the future of Unreal Engine running live on a PlayStation 5.
Awesome, let's take a look at it.
This better be gameplay. Ooh,
this
who's
has
that?
To be the right way.
Wow. I don't know what this is, but it looks super pretty.
Before we continue, let's stop a moment and take a look at some of the key features of this demo. Much of what you see was built with Quixel Megascan assets, but instead of using the game versions, we used the cinematic versions, which would typically only be used in film. There are around 1 million triangles each.
Wow.
And thanks to virtual
is right,
texturing,
Underdog.
they all use 8K textures as well. Nanite can render an insane number of triangles very quickly. There are over 1 billion triangles of source geometry in each frame that Nanite crunches down losslessly to around 20 million drawn triangles. What does that many triangles look like? This isn't noise.
This is amazing.
These are the triangles, each a different color. Most are so small that they look like noise. Nanite achieves detail down to the pixel, which means triangles are often the size of pixels. This amount of geometric detail requires shadows to be pixel accurate as well, and Nanite can do that too. Speaking of lighting, all of the lighting in this demo is completely dynamic. With the power of Lumen, that even includes multi-bounce global illumination. No light maps, no baking here. Without GI, all of that beautiful lighting is gone. With Lumen enabled, we can move the light and the bounce changes instantly.
But what game is this?
Okay, let's keep going.
I want to know the game. Like, there's a female protagonist, Win.
We've made some great additions to our audio system.
Looks like,
as well.
oh, for sure. No, it's a new IP.
Convolution reverb allows us to measure
I just want more
reverberation
info.
characteristics of
This
real
is
spaces,
a Rachel game right
like
here.
actual caves that we
280.
sample, and reproduce them in virtual spaces.
It looks
Sound
really
field
good.
rendering allows us to record and play back spatialized audio.
Bomber, I have an article on the way about female leads, so as soon as that's
All
out,
of
I
this
will link
adds
you
up
to
to a
it.
more immersive experience.
Some Tomb Raider loading screen there. My guess
This
is
swarm of
that
bats was created with our Niagara
it would be
effects system.
PS4, PS5 exclusive.
Particles
if
in
it's this early.
Niagara can now talk to one another and understand their environment like never before. We've also added a ton of new functionality to run fluid simulations like you see in the water below.
Niagara? Love the naming? What do you mean? Did I miss something?
The demo runs on our chaos physics system. Here we are using it to accurately simulate the rigid bodies of the falling rocks and the cloth of her scarf.
Of her scarf, but who is she? Tell me now.
Now that the environment is so complex, we've needed to greatly improve our animation
Heck yeah, Bomber.
systems to adapt. We've added predictive foot placement and motion warping, which dynamically modifies IK and body position to look more natural. For the character to more realistically interact with the environment, we've added the ability to trigger seamless contextual animation events, like her hand on the door.
Sounds promising.
Yeah, that's a loading
Dynamic
screen
TI
without
is
it being a
amazing,
loading screen.
not just
Tomb
for
Raider
speeding
did that
up
really well.
iteration, but also for its impact on gameplay.
Nice.
Any light
That's
source can move while
it
still
might
having
be.
beautiful bounce lighting. Dynamic illumination means specular as well, which you can see on all the metal surfaces.
My gosh, this is
You can even see the
madness.
Niagara-powered bugs reacting to the light. Lumen not only reacts to moving light sources, but also changes in geometry. Remember we mentioned high poly assets? This statue was imported directly from ZBrush and is more than 33 million triangles.
Oh my gosh.
No baking of normal maps, no authored LODs. And we can do more than a single statue. There are nearly 500 of that exact statue at the same detail level placed in this room, for a total of over 16 billion triangles from statues alone.
Who is this lass? What is this
Over
game?
this entire demo, there are hundreds of billions of triangles.
Like, the scenery is absolutely beautiful, but I need more info about what this game is. I know. I'm prepared to be
So with
discouraged.
Nanite, you have limitless geometry, and with Lumen, you have fully dynamic lighting and global illumination, all running on a PlayStation 5.
I'm prepared to be disappointed. If it was Ubisoft, I'd say already no, but it doesn't look like this. No, it's not Ubisoft, it's Epic, which I know you said.
There's not much time left.
And this doesn't need to be constrained to small rooms. It can stretch all the way to the horizon.
And just so you guys know, their volume is very low. Like,
The portal. It It's open.
My volume is as high as it can be for desktop, so their volume is really low.
Don't fail me now.
If it's not an exclusive, it might look even better on the X series. Yeah, I know. It's hard to know. I can't tell if this is just a tech demo or if it's something real.
It's time to see what's next.
Ooh. That might have just been a tech demo? I don't know. Is that Stargate? Ooh, that's a long way out. That's definitely
There
not
you go.
gonna be...
The Unreal
this is a
Engine
little
5 is real, and that was the first real-time footage of something running on the PlayStation 5 as well. Such a amazing day, I think, for gamers to get a glimpse at where games are going next. And now it's my honor to be joined by three guys from Epic to talk a little bit about today's announcement.
Deadly, you would
Of
know
course,
I've
we've got
never
Tim
played
Sweeney,
a Stargate game.
Kim LeBerry,
So if that
and
is a
Nick
Stargate,
Warden.
then you
guys,
know and I don't.
thanks for joining me here virtually. This is a really big and exciting day. I mean, I think I just was so blown away when I saw this footage about what UE5 can do. And Tim, this is, I know, a special moment for you to have, put a 5 on this Unreal Engine. I remember the first time you showed me the original Unreal Engine. I think it was like 1996 at E3 at a Marriott Marina Del Rey. And I was looking back last night at like the old Next Generation magazine cover with like, can you believe this is what a PC screenshot of the original Unreal Engine, how far we've come. Tell me, I mean, this is a big moment for Epic, but what does this mean
It's
to
not
sort
a
of the
Stargate?
company right now to be able to,
Hopefully
debut
it's
the
real.
first PlayStation 5 footage, but also, introduce, a new numbered version of Unreal?
Well, this really is a generational leap or more in technological capabilities. And the hardware that Sony is launching is absolutely phenomenal. Not only an unprecedented amount of graphics power, but also a completely new storage architecture that blows past architectures out of the water, and it's far ahead of even the state of the art and the highest end PCs you can buy. And so, with Unreal Engine 5, we set out to build a new generation of technology that empowers creators to create photorealistic scenes that are indistinguishable
I don't know who she
from
is,
reality,
but I want to know her.
and to do so with a very high degree of productivity, right? I mean, there are two problems in game development, right? One is the features needed to achieve complete realism. But the other big problem is just the cost and time it takes for an artist to create a major new piece of content for a next generation game. And so Unreal Engine 5 attacks both of those problems. We have the nanite system for virtual geometry, enabling sub-pixel geometry, which is imperceptibly
I was sinful. I was just thinking
different
that.
from the
They're also just like going over
assets,
everything they
so
just
the
went
movie
over all
quality
over
assets
again.
that were originally scanned. Also, the Lumen, the real-time global illumination system, not only to bring unprecedented quality and lighting to the environments, but also to free artists from having to worry about the details of lighting their levels, and make all of these trade-offs in static lighting versus dynamic lighting. And so we're really trying to empower developers here and to enable developers to create a new generation of experiences that are both unbelievably realistic, but also economical and practical for them to create without having to have a 1,000-person team.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that footage, in 4K, I mean, just the level of detail is absolutely stunning. Kim, maybe you could break down a little bit of this, sort of visually what's happening that makes it look so incredible? Because I know you've got a couple of new systems that you're really proud of, and maybe talk about nanite and what that is and how it works and how it's going to kind of shape games moving forward.
Okay, so Nanite is a new geometry system for Unreal Engine that lets us get down to almost sub-pixel levels of detail on the screen. You know, it's
These
capable,
guys have too
it's
much
possible
headroom.
because
You
we have
guys
a new
gotta.
generation of hardware that really allows us to put loads and loads of triangles at the screen. And we thought that we'd come up with a new
Regardless of this
technique
being
that
an exclusive,
allowed
the
us to
engine.
be able
Yeah.
to create content in a similar way to the way that they do on movies today. So in fact, when you look at that demo, all them assets, Nana is basically ingesting all the movie quality assets from Quixel to make that scene. And the artist doesn't even have to think about it. They can move rocks and mountains and statues wherever they want in the scene and not have to worry about triangle costs anymore. Lumen, the global illumination system that Tim mentioned, that just produces incredibly realistic and accurate bounce lighting. So wherever you place a light in the scene, it's effect
Bomber,
on
is
the
it
whole
confirmed
world
a
is
tech
seen
demo? Like maybe
instantly
they're
by just
saving
moving
it
things
for the
around.
like
It's
at the
amazing.
end to be like, oh, by the way,
Yeah, when I
this
saw
is
that
so
demo,
and
I was
so.
just so blown away by the visual fidelity, and also I think how much felt, at least to me as an end user, how much felt that so much of the environment was streaming in real time in so much detail, especially that sequence where she's flying through the environment.
But I
Mark
think
Cerny
you're
has
right,
talked a lot about
unfortunately.
PlayStation 5 and the incredible bandwidth it's going to have to move data from the SSD right onto screen. Nick, can you maybe talk a bit about how that's sort of manifesting itself in this demo? I assume some of those improvements in PS5 are enabling types of things that just weren't possible in previous generations.
Yeah, so Nanite enabled the artist to build a scene
Possible
with
Destiny
geometric
ships?
complexity that would have been impossible before. There are tens of billions of triangles in that scene, and we simply couldn't have them all in memory at once. And so what we end up needing to do is streaming in triangles as the camera is moving throughout the environment. And the I/O capabilities of PlayStation 5 are one of the key hardware features that enable us to achieve that level of realism.
Yeah, no, it's stunning to see that, and I think also the global illumination. I think people have heard that concept before, but now really manifesting sort of in real time in that environment with the flashlight or some of the other lighting scenes. Can you guys maybe break down sort of from the gamer perspective, like how games are going to change because of the full global illumination?
GG, simple.
Well, yeah, first of all, this enables a much wider variety of games to have very realistic responses to light. Everything from from large-scale open-world types of games, with day-night cycles, being seamless transitions from indoor to outdoor. It's it makes lighting one of the things that the developers don't have to worry about, and it's a freeing technology. Not only does it mean more real-time lighting in games, but it also means there's a large set of problems that were very tricky in the previous generation that developers just don't need to worry about. And so I think you're going to see a much wider variety of types of games, taking advantage of Lumen and taking advantage of Nanite. And one of the core elements of every new generation transition is new hardware capabilities with an order of magnitude improvement over previous generations enable entirely new types of games to develop. The Battle Royale genre didn't even take off until the current generation, where you finally had enough computing and graphics power to enable a 100-player game with very, very high fidelity encounters. This new generation of technology that we're building with Unreal Engine 5 and that Sony's empowering with PlayStation 5
I'm sure he cleaned it for this thing.
Entirely new types of game experiences.
It is a
that
very
we
clean
can't even
room, except for the
anticipate yet.
desk is a little bit.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk over the past couple of weeks about the
cluttery.
next generation and kind of will the leap be as great as previous generations? What are the types of things we're going to see? I think this demo, at least to me, is the first kind of real-time example of something that really grabs me. And I just want to confirm, like, what we're seeing there, that's all.
What just happened?
Actually play that with a controller? Like, that's not kind of frame dumped or anything? That's actually playable?
It's a fully playable demo, and
Wow.
we plugged in a recorder into the back of it. A little bit different every time you play it.
Wow.
What is happening? I was wondering if my internet was going out, but... Ha! Okay. And we gotta watch a trailer, ad here. This is great. A playable demo at that, I know it. I'll go to a GameStop to play that demo. Wear some gloves and a mask, no big deal. Sorry about this, guys.
Yet from actually visiting a space will be much deeper than you've ever seen before.
I don't have a
the
post
ability
sinful.
of the
I take
hardware
this
and the
and
engine
I
to stream in massive amounts of content as you're going through a huge environment. I think that's going to have a much bigger impact on gaming than people are expecting right now. You know, until this next generation of hardware, previous generation console games had to be built to load data off of a spinning mechanical device, right? That has its roots in the 1950s, and now Sony's storage system is absolutely world class. Not only the best in class in console, but also the best on any platform, better than high-end PC. I think this is going to enable the types of immersion that we only could have dreamed of in the past. The world of loading screens is over, and the days of pop-in and geometry popping up as you're going through these game environments are ended, and the
That is a
resulting
bold
effect is
statement.
the ability to build games that are fully immersive from start to finish over hundreds of hours of gameplay if that's your game.
Yeah, no, incredible what I think this is going to enable. We've talked a lot about PS5. We know obviously Unreal Engine runs kind of across all platforms, including mobile and PC and Xbox, of course. What's your take on like what you're showing here? How is that going to scale?
I think
to,
it's going to be
to
hard
other
for
systems?
consoles
like
to
this demo
beat
we're seeing, is
PCs
that,
even as they
will
get
that run
better. I
on
mean,
the
how?
Xbox Series X? Will it run on PC? How will it be different? Can you guys give us some context on that?
Well, I mean, Unreal Engine 5 is going to
Scarecrow,
run
you're totally
across
right.
all
Some of
our
these
supported
guys with their funky
next generation
setups.
console, current generation consoles, as well
Of course,
as
PC will get better every year.
mobile devices. One of the key features that we've been working on is being able to build content once and deploy it across devices. So on higher end hardware where we can support Nanite directly, we'll be able to render scenes at the fidelity that you just saw, like on PlayStation 5. For, say, an Android or iOS mobile device, what we will be able to do is have tools that help to scale that content down so that you'll be able to take the game that you built at the highest fidelity level for console and bring it to all other devices.
Tim, do you have a sense between like sort of all the like Xbox, PlayStation, all these other systems, like sort of they've made somewhat different choices, also some similar ones, obviously with SSDs in both. Do you have a sense of how they're going to sort of compare in terms of power, or how you look at sort of like the overall landscape?
Well, we love all of our babies, and we can't make comparisons or pick favorites. But the Nanite technology we showed here is going to run across all next generation consoles and high-end PC. And most importantly, this is what's possible in the absolute best hardware that's going to exist at the end of the year. But these experiences you build, we will help developers scale down to every device that exists in the world.
Yeah,
And
his
we really
desk
hope to
is
empower all
cluttered,
developers to
Volcasmic,
do
to say
what
the
we've
least.
done with Fortnite in this generation, which is build absolutely no sacrifices, high-end console game, and then bring it to every device, including scaling it down to iOS and Android devices from years ago, so that we can reach a much larger audience of gamers than just the hardcore some 200 million console players in the world.
So Kim, I know a lot of gamers around the world watched that footage and said, wow, I want to play that, but I'm sure they're also trying to kind of extrapolate out of that, since it's this is not a game, it's a demo. How their games
confirmed.
are going to feel
No.
different in the next generation.
Turn it
and
off.
one of the things that I really took away from it was that flight sequence at the end, which was just incredible, and with the sort of the rubble.
I wanted to
coming
know
down
that
and things
girl. I
moving.
wanted to know her story.
Could you maybe talk about sort of how the game experience might change with UE5? Sure, it's going to look visually more beautiful, but how is it going to play different?
So traditionally on this current generation, if you wanted to make a photorealistic environment, the way that people do that is they bake lighting into the environment. The problem with that means the environment is not dynamic. You can't move things around. You can't incorporate user-generated content because you don't know what it is prior to shipping your game. But with this technology, with the Lumen technology and Nanite, it means that
anyone watching this on YouTube, my chat is completely distraught that that's not a real
not
game.
Just destructible
it's just a
components,
demo.
but mutating components and things that
Destiny
change
3?
beyond the release of the game.
Yes,
Every
how did you
day,
know?
An environment could have grown.
How did you know,
and
Weird
changed,
Champ?
and that can all be calculated live.
And does that extend to like, I assume like destructible environments and whatnot, and allowing people to sort of, really like just, that sequence in the flight where you sort of, saw the sort of tower crash down or whatever. That felt to me, I just hadn't seen that level of detail in a game like that. And some games like Uncharted or whatever sometimes have big destruction moments, but it felt like that was so detailed and so realistic. Is that partially because you can now move the environment more in real time?
Yes, and even effects like when we open that big dome where all the statues are, the light just floods in and bounces all over the place. You really, the way you would have had to do that in the past is you would have to cheat. And now it can be fully dynamic. You can blow a hole in the sky and the light will come through, and even choose randomly colored lights. If you put them into the scene as a player, then they're going to have an effect on the whole world and it'll still look realistic.
So in the past, you could
I
get
did
that
get
effect,
the
but it would
air.
have to be
Yes,
sort of
Weird Champ.
pre-calculated, I guess? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, exactly. And even if you want to, like if you're saying you're in a dungeon and you place a light.
So Scarecrow in chat
candle
wrote
that you happen to
she
have in
was
the
too
game, you
anime
place
looking
it.
and the
That
world
will
was too
bounce
real
around
looking
corners.
for it to be a
So
real
you
game.
you can explore with limited light sources, and the old-fashioned
Yeah,
gag
but
of
I think
having
their
a
point was that
flashlight
it's supposed to
beam
look like
isn't
a
what
real
you need
game.
anymore. You can actually use light in really interesting ways.
Like
Yeah,
this is
and,
supposed to be what the
even
games are
beyond
going to look
games,
like.
Unreal Engine has been, applied to so many amazing, aspects of entertainment. Of course, I think everyone knows The Mandalorian, how that used Unreal Engine, and there's the Weather Channel. There's so many other uses of UE. Can you guys talk about how sort of UE5 is going to, kind of tie into those experiences? And I think, I assume you see this convergence of kind of everything coming together through an engine like Unreal in terms of just realizing entertainment. How will UE5 sort of, be used in those fields, or how will that change the pipeline for non-game experiences too?
So one of the great things about Nanite is that it finally allows content creators of all kinds to be able to use movie quality assets. So there really won't be a difference. If you're building an environment for a film versus a video game, or you're making an IP that's transmedia, you can build things the same way now. And that was we had so much exposure to film customers over the last few years using our engine that we really wanted to remove the barrier for them and for all game makers. Right now, you pick a high resolution asset you want, you load it in, you don't have to think about making levels of detail or normal maps or any of the usual stuff that goes with making game content. It's a pretty freeing experience for anybody trying to tell a story or to make an experience.
It's a pretty
That's
decent
amazing.
gun,
So,
Weird Champ. I'm just trying to
in the eyes
focus
of a consumer,
on
like
what
you'll
they're
see
saying.
an
But
asset
it's
that's
good.
in,
It's a good
a
gun.
movie, and that they literally can drag that over to the game now. Whereas I guess in the past they would have to sort of, reduce down the polygons and kind of scale it down for a game engine.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, Quixel, that's also part of Epic. Their assets, they come when you take an asset from the Quixel store. There is a movie quality version that would be used in movies. I guess they were involved a lot in the Jungle Book movie a few years ago, and many movies today use Quixel assets. And they also have versions of them assets that are suitable for games. Now, you don't have to have that distinction. Nanite will just take the movie asset and do the right things with it.
One of the things I know when you guys moved to UE4, a lot of people, were worried about, it's breaking some of the pipeline of things that people had done previously. And it sounds like with this engine, you're saying it's going to be kind of a pretty seamless transition to UE5, right? That's important for you, sort of have the forwards compatibility?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to support developers bringing their games.
I'm
from
upset this
UE4 to
isn't
UE5,
about a game.
And in fact, we will be doing that ourselves with
feels like
Fortnite. So
they're talking
we
about
will,
the same thing
be
multiple
shipping
Fortnite
Fortnite
times.
on next generation console on UE4, and then next year we will be bringing Fortnite to UE5 as well. So we'll be testing out
Fortnite
that
is gonna look
experience
really good on
bringing
that
the game
engine.
along from UE4 to UE5, and making sure the transition is manageable.
Wow. Yeah. Fortnite obviously is such a phenomenon, as you mentioned earlier, Tim, with, battle royales. But also I feel like, Fortnite has turned into, really kind of this metaverse-like platform where we're seeing kind of different experiences powered by Unreal.
I don't know if
And I was
any of
wondering
you
if you
guys
guys could
saw
talk
the
a bit about
Travis
that, because I
Scott
look at, the
concert,
Travis
but it was
Scott concert and I see
absolutely
that as an
unreal.
amazing experience, but it sort of was an interactive
No pun
music
intended.
video in a way. And then, you watch the YouTube video for his new song. It's actually, just what was in Unreal. How do you see all the sort of worlds of entertainment combining, Tim, longer term? And obviously, based on what Kim was saying, it's now going to be even easier, I guess, for the assets to move. But from an experience standpoint, do you see kind of a blending of games with more traditional entertainment powered by Unreal?
Yeah, absolutely. All of these worlds
Yeah,
are
she
colliding
did look like a
right now in
Fortnite
real time.
character. Yeah, I know. Stop breaking my
We're
heart,
seeing
guys.
the sort of film production that's being done on The Mandalorian and other projects all around Hollywood, film and television.
We could make her our own protagonist.
Being able to move directly to games in the future. Right now we've brought Marvel content into Fortnite and Star Wars content into Fortnite, and each of those processes started with rebuilding their movie quality assets for real time, using our tools. But in the future,
she would have.
This is going to be an
she would have a
exercise to build
fantastic
every
story,
asset
Underdog.
exactly once and then deploy it everywhere. And the future isn't just going to be about Unreal Engine serving a bunch of separate markets. We're helping architects visualize their creations now, and that's awesome. We're helping film and television makers, virtually produce their work in real time, with actors in front of and actresses in front of cameras and
maybe
big LED
Volcasmic.
screens instead of
For those on
green
YouTube,
screens, and
Volcasmic
it's
wrote,
making the
maybe they'll
production
see how
process
much interest
more
there is in the
efficient,
game that
real-time,
looks
and
like
higher
that,
quality.
and something will be developed.
But in the future, all these assets are going to come together, and Epic's not going to just play a role in supplying creation software to all of these different industries. We're going to help everybody reach consumers with real-time 3D content. When General Motors released their Corvette car configurator for the 2020 Corvette, it was powered by Unreal. It was running in the cloud, and you could go there and you could configure your car right then. But that was disconnected from the rest of the gaming world. The next step with all of those types of experiences is to enable them to author that content for all their internal work, whether you're designing a home for a customer as an architect, or you're designing a car, or you're building a television series. We want the next generation of these experiences to be bringing all of those assets directly to gamers in a fun way, deploying them into Fortnite and every other Unreal Engine licensee's games, being able to reach a vast consumer audience that way, right? It's like it's like the transition that the world went through in the early days of the internet, and then social media. For a while it was just companies talking to customers one-on-one, and now you have the ability to reach customers directly through your Facebook page or your Twitter page, your Twitter account, or anything like that. But the next generation of these experiences is not just text and video. It's real-time 3D. It's a social experience where players are together with all of their friends and experiencing all of these companies' content together in real time. And it's a world that's not going to be powered by advertisements that pop up and annoy you. It's a world that's going to be powered by awesome content that these companies make available to power your entertainment experiences. And
I like what he's saying right now.
We're blazing this path to some extent with Fortnite, but there will be a lot of other games heading in this direction, a lot of them powered by Unreal Engine. And I think this is the next step in the entire digital content industry, not just gaming, but the whole thing.
I couldn't agree more. It's so exciting to feel that games are going to be at the center of this. But as you said, I think, this, like, those shared experiences that you're having in Fortnite, even, a concert experience, there's no gunplay or combat involved. It's just a shared kind of experience, which is so compelling. And as you said, powered by
that guy drinking
Unreal, and then
Popeyes.
when you think of, as you said, those movie assets and all the other assets coming together.
Oh man, that
in a
tickled
world,
me just then.
It's really exciting. One thing I wanted to ask you about was the content creation path, because we've seen a lot, especially in Fortnite, with creative mode.
This keeps
and a
going
lot of,
here.
Fans of Fortnite starting to build levels, and obviously UE, you guys, I think, have really focused on kind of making it accessible, lowering the royalty rates for kind of upstart developers. Can you maybe talk a bit about sort of the your vision of kind of how easy it is to build something in Unreal? I mean, are we going to get to a level where it is sort of like a Photoshop where you can kind of just jump in and build a game, or what is that barrier to entry going to go down in the next generation?
Epic is working to address the whole range of content development scenarios, all the way from your AAA game developer or your feature film in Hollywood being produced using world-class photoreal assets all the way down to indie game experiences and content creation for the 100 million people who want to build stuff but aren't professional modelers and haven't had training in that. And the continuum of experiences spans Fortnite Creative, which has been used by over 100 million people, all the way up to Unreal Engine 4 and the Unreal Editor, which is an insanely powerful piece of software that's actually pretty complicated to learn. But over time, these tools and technologies will be coming together in some exciting ways, and we're not ready to talk about all of it yet. But Epic is really thinking about and putting a lot of effort into addressing the entire continuum of content development and content deployment scenarios. We feel that the state of the world is a little bit broken right now. If you look at the app stores on smartphones, you have 250,000 games, each competing for the top 10 charts, where virtually all of the sales occur. And you have a small number of winners and a whole lot of losers in that way, and it's not a fair situation for game developers. And you have a lot of amazing games that just get lost because they haven't been discovered. More and more we want to enable content creators to reach the audiences within existing games. And this has been part of the industry since the days of Quake and Unreal Tournament, when user mods became possible, and we and id Software released our first tools so the community could start building their own stuff. And now it's reached a scale of hundreds of millions of users. If you look at what Fortnite is doing, and Minecraft and Roblox.
So we can build that game, is what he's saying. Let's build it. Let's go. Your champ was totally right.
I think right now you have two separate worlds, right? You have the professional tools of Unreal Engine and Unity, and then you have the tools for the masses in Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, and they're really not connected anymore. They're not connected at all. And the next step is to cross over and to enable all of the content tools to reach all of the customers and all of the ways that they play games. And this is something that we're thinking a lot about, and we'll be doing a lot of work on in the coming years.
It's awesome to hear. We've talked a lot, obviously, about like graphics and lighting and things that are very powerful and visual that grab you. But I want to talk about the underlying architecture a little bit, and things especially like online services. And I know that's something that Epic has focused on, about kind of connecting people, even crossplay, but also
Underdog,
finding
or
ways
not Underdog,
to
Scarecrow.
kind of bring communities together.
Was absolutely
and I guess
right.
some of that's tied to UE5, but also it's just a general platform approach. But can you maybe share a bit on kind of your vision on the other aspects of Unreal and Epic, and how that's going to sort of evolve over the next few years too?
Probably Scarecrow. That's
Sure.
probably a
Today,
reference to
we're showing Unreal
the
Engine
current
5 for the first
situation,
time, but we're launching the Epic Online services to all developers in the world across 5 platforms right now, and you can download the Epic Online Services SDK and use it right away. What this is the set of all of the online features that we built for Fortnite, including cross-platform friends that span 7 platforms, enable players to connect together with all of their friends everywhere. Despite the different account systems and friend systems that exist on each platform, on the console platforms and on Steam. And we're opening it up to all developers for free. And the goal here is to help all developers work together to accomplish what we accomplished with Fortnite, and to build a cross-platform social ecosystem together with all of the other developers in the industry, right? Instead of players being siloed into the one platform they're playing on, we want them to be able to reach all of their friends everywhere, but also build up friends across multiple games. And that's the really interesting thing about the Epic account services that we're launching. If you choose to use Epic accounts in your game, then you can reach the entire Fortnite player base, which is over 350 million accounts worldwide. And more importantly, it's 2.2 billion social connections between players. When 2 players become online friends and start playing together, those friend connections now persist across games, from all of the different publishers who choose to use these services. And so, it's the most open set of services that have been launched to date, and it really helps to bridge the gap, that's existed on all of the other platforms. And until recently, it was really only Epic, EA, Activision, the really big companies with a huge set of development resources that had the capability of building that sort of thing. But now this is open. And it's approved by all
He
three
might
of the
play
console
Fortnite,
makers
don't shame
for
him.
use on their platforms, and it's ready for all game developers to adopt. And so we're really trying to help the industry get to a better place. And we think, the core of the game industry are these 300 million hardcore gamers across high-end PC and console. But there are billions of gamers worldwide, and I think the next stage of the industry's growth is going to come from connecting these audiences.
I really like what
not
he's
with
saying right
low-end
now.
casual games on one set of platforms and high-end games on another set of platforms, but getting all of the players to play together and enabling all developers to release their games on all platforms, as we did with Fortnite.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting idea that these gaming platforms almost become it's another social network now, right? And I know you guys have House Party that's been very successful over the past few months, especially. But it feels like now you talk those numbers with Epic Online Services, it starts to feel like this is a Twitter or a Snapchat or an Instagram, and sort of this way to kind of connect people. Is that part of your longer term vision? Is that people will use sort of these game services as kind of a gateway to connect with people, and games are a part of it, but also just the larger sort of social graph will
this
be
is a
kind of
really important
the gateway
topic.
to it
I'm
will be
interested
through a game engine
in this.
Well, what we're building here is the opposite of a walled garden, right? We're enabling all publishers to use all of their different account systems and connect using these services. And we're working with all of the different console makers and other platforms and services to help interconnect them. The most interesting thing about this, and if you start playing Fortnite on PlayStation and then you want to play the game on the iOS device, on iOS you can log in with your PlayStation account, and then you get all of your PlayStation progress transferred over. If you start playing on PC, then you create an Epic account. Then if you go to Xbox, then you can log in with your Epic account on your Xbox. And so this isn't a walled garden. Rather, it's an attempt to connect all the different services.
I think that more and more companies are going to be doing that.
Have different degrees of openness.
You have to.
And I think that's really going to be freeing for the industry. It's going to mean that everybody can talk to everybody else, and there's no one company controlling the whole thing. Rather, it arises as a result of the cooperation between all of the different companies in the ecosystem who finally realized that they can grow better and build better businesses if, instead of trying to let players into their platforms, they enable their players to connect with all of their friends across all platforms. Because we have a lot of devices in our lives, and everybody who has an Xbox or a PlayStation also has an iPhone or an Android device. To really enable the next generation of industry growth, we've got to be able to connect all of these users with all of these friends and set aside kind of the old feuds that defined previous generations of the console business.
Big yes.
So with everything you're describing, I think of a show like The Mandalorian, which we all watched and loved, but all those assets are there. I mean, nothing prevents them now from building kind of an interactive experience, I guess, around that they could power with something like Unreal. And maybe it's a game, but maybe it's just sort of this shared experience. And it feels like the visual fidelity now that these next gen consoles will bring. I mean,
I'm turning the volume down just a minute so I don't talk over these guys, but Scarecrow said in chat, I know it's important, but it's going a bit long looking at that plasma ball and not a game. I totally agree. I'm frustrated that this turned into this and not more conversation about games, but I do think that this type of conversation about connecting people, regardless, like HR Bomber wrote, always better to have your stuff everywhere regardless of where you play. Like, that is super important, but the connecting people is more important, especially in an age where there's so much friendship and communication via the internet. Like, we're going to see a lot of this summer, making this move.
Game engines, especially Unreal, is built for building these very immersive simulated worlds. So we're seeing people say they've got a car chase in their TV show that they're trying to make, then they'll actually drive cars with steering wheels and joypads to race against each other and then film that after the fact. So it's starting to become very almost like very Matrix way in the way that
I like this guy. I think he's my favorite of the three guests.
Content creation. And I think that's just going to get more and more common. And as they start to rock the potential of what real-time interactive entertainment is about, I think you're going to see traditional storytellers making the move into video games, and I think and backwards and forwards. I think you're going to see this very, very fuzzy world where it's just entertainment. You're building an IP. It can be a game. It can be a TV show. It can be all of these things, and it's going to be a pretty exciting decade.
And I'm sure some people saw that, the showcase that you guys just showed, the demo, and everyone's like, I want to play that game. But we should clarify that's not a game, I don't think, right? It's just a tech demo?
It's a tech demo. Yes,
Okay.
yes. No, we feel it's the best way to present, especially something that was built for the Game Developer Conference, is to show something within the context of gameplay. So, and it also means, we wanted to improve some animation systems in the engine. So it was much better to actually have a world that you can work
I'm upset.
play.
Yeah, it was much better, whatever. We wanted that
real,
girl in our
unreal
lives.
in this case.
I was gonna say it's real gameplay. That's what we like to see, is that people can actually play through that. And again, it just blows me away when you see that final sequence at the flight, and that's the kind of thing that I think we've all been waiting for, is to see that glimpse of
This guy's
where
got style
games
with his chair.
are going next. So it's really exciting to see how you guys keep pushing the technology to the next level with UE5. And I know it's going to be next year, you say. So we'll see some next gen games this holiday shipping on brand UE 4.25, I think, right? And then next year is when we'll see UE5.
So 2021 for this engine.
Yeah, that's right. We're planning on having a preview of UE5 available early next year, and then shipping the full 5.0 later in the year.
Yeah, so not even, it's going to be like
imagine,
holiday.
Characters will also improve. I know you guys have done a lot of work there with sort of, character technology. We already talked about with Nick, the idea of, streaming more into the environment, no load times, as Tim mentioned. I mean, these are other things that I guess are going to, sort of impact the game experience. But are there other dimensions that you think,
oh my God,
the next generation will sort of evolve to with UE5? I mean, I think the character stuff feels like, to me, another area where, we're not quite the same as, movies yet in terms of character technology, but I'm sure you guys are pushing on that too.
I'm very confident. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tim.
This is just the tip of the iceberg here. We've shown digital humans technology in the past, but Epic and the 3 Lateral team that recently joined us are going to be pushing that to entirely new levels, not just in graphics fidelity, but also in productivity for content creators, so that a developer without a huge budget can build digital humans that are world class. We have a lot of investments going on that you'll hear about over the coming months and over the next year. Also, at the core of this, this isn't a big open world demo, but open world technology and enabling worlds without bounds is the key initiative that's uniting all of this. Virtualized geometry is one part of it. Global illumination with Lumen is another part of it. But ultimately, this comes together to empower huge streaming seamless environments, and that creates an entirely new direction for games to go. And remember, this is not just a graphics engine, right? It's a full simulation engine. It aims to power every aspect of simulating a realistic environment, including very detailed physics, and vehicles, and collision and destruction, and everything else. I think you'll see a qualitatively different set of games built for the new generation than what we have here. And it's going to be very exciting because we don't yet know exactly what they're going to be.
And how does you guys mentioned Fortnite moving to UE5 next year? Like, I mean, how is this going to impact Fortnite? Do you think, in terms of like the game, with UE5? Sure, you don't want to spoil much, but it's like, just technically, sort of like, is that going to enable the game to evolve too?
Well, it puts a vast amount.
Oh man, that season was a
good
good
power
season
in the hands of all of the creators who built
That was
Fortnite,
season 7.
Both within Epic and the 100 million or so outside of Epic.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see where this enables the game to go in the future. I think what we have now is a very, very small fraction of what the game will be in the future, and it's going to be very exciting to see the Fortnite team evolve it and have all of this new power in their hands.
Well, I see it as, it's a game, but it also feels like a platform in a way that it's enabling, these other, there's Battle Royale game, but there's creative. And obviously we've started to see, other experiences with music artists and whatnot. around it. So it feels like it is this, this beachhead to sort of a bunch of other content. Is that how you view it, as sort of this, sort of this, I mean, people have used the term, sort of metaverse, but is that sort of the longer term vision, is that Fortnite can sort of grow to wherever creators want to take it?
Yeah, they define a platform as an ecosystem in which the most of the content is not created by the company that operates it, right? And I think if you look at Fortnite today, it's not that, but anything's possible in the future. I think that's a very interesting direction for the whole game business. Every game developer is thinking about this problem of how to not limit their experience by the 10 or 100 or 1,000 people on their development team, but how to uncap the entire world's creativity to enable an entirely new generation of game experiences to be developed in an entirely new way.
Yeah, well, I think UE5 obviously shows the high end of the aspiration for everyone to, what they'll eventually be able to maybe make. And yeah, that demo is absolutely stunning. Before we go, I wanted to ask you, like, that demo, how long did it take you guys to build? How many people worked on it? Can you give us a sense of, like, how that came to life?
This is only just making it worse.
After GDC was when we started thinking about it. We knew Brian's nanite technology was beginning to come online. And but the bulk of the work, I would say the bulk of the work started from sort of September through to March. And I think the team, it probably peaked over this, but I think it was about 24 people that worked on the project overall. And with a bit of help from our friends at Quixel, if it hadn't been for the Quixel Megascan library, we couldn't be able to populate that world.
Yeah, well, I'm sure everyone looks at that and says, I want to play that game, and I know we're not necessarily going to get it, but it hopefully will inspire a lot of creators around the world about what will be possible. Please inspire
the creators.
With UE5 and also the next generation system. So, I feel real excited now about what we're going to get to see for the rest of the year for all these next-gen games and, of course, into the future. Thanks, as always, for joining me, guys. It's great to see the first look at UE5 and hear about where Epic's going.
Agree, Thad.
And, the future looks quite bright. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
He did. He said it took from September to March. Now this is super loud. We're going to turn this down. All the way to here. Yeah, he did say from about September to March. So I think that the main things I really want to talk about there are the graphics were beautiful. I mean, absolutely stunning. I'm sad it's not a game. I want to know more about that girl, but I guess we won't. Maybe Epic will get so much feedback that they will create her, put her in a game. The other thing about that is what they said about the bringing people together. Again, like I said, again, is just like the most important thing. It's truly just. They have to stop with the Microsoft versus Sony, Xbox versus PS4 versus PC. They all are allowed to be different and then also bring people together. That has to continue to just be the trend that people bring. Because I was just talking to my buddy Sinful the other day, or maybe it was even this morning. I have no idea. We were chatting. And I love playing Destiny with my buddy Sinful, but he plays on Xbox and I play on PC now, and we can't play together, like literally only because we play on different platforms. That is so old school. Like, new generation has to figure out a way to do it in a way that benefits both Xbox and PC and PS4. Fortnite, I think, and now I know people have said Warzone is cross-platform. I know there's other games that are cross-platform, but like, they're doing it and it's not hurting anybody. It's only bringing people together. It's making people want to play the game more because now they know that they can play with their friend who's on a separate platform. So these companies doing that are gonna be super successful, and being able to do that is only gonna make gaming more common knowledge, more widespread, and something that people are okay with supporting because, I can now, play with my buddy Sinful. He doesn't have to spend a crap load of money on a PC just to play with his friends. Like, we can all just play together on Destiny, on whatever it is we want to play. I don't play Fortnite anymore, but when they did that, I mean, it was truly like one of the first times in recent history that I can remember where they made that option. I can play with somebody on Switch. I can play with somebody on mobile. I mean, that is going to be what the future is. One other thing that they mentioned that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of as we move forward with Summer Game Fest is now Scarecrow. I do think that we're going to be seeing gameplay eventually. If they front load it with gameplay now, the end of the summer. This goes till August. The end of the summer will not have content. But I do think that the streaming of video gaming it's already happening. It's already something that people are doing. But I think that is going to become how gaming is experienced. The Xbox, Game Pass. I mean, obviously that's what you're doing pretty much on a PC. You have a library of games that are stored in the cloud and then you're just playing them. Consoles have to jump on that, and with style. One thing I've heard a lot of people in the industry saying is that Microsoft is not building a new console. That's not where they're getting their money from. Microsoft is building a gaming experience where you can cast games from your phone, to a wall and just grab your information from your Xbox, from your Microsoft profile and say, I own this game, I want to play it here. One of the things in my last episode of Rad Reviews was talking about smart delivery. That is ingenious. PlayStation needs to do it. Everyone needs to do it. If you buy content on Xbox One and then you migrate over to Xbox Series X, you get access to games with smart delivery. That's so smart. They're not losing sales there. They're not, because of how they're starting to build, their company. It's streaming. Netflix does not lose money most of the time. So that's just what more and more companies are going to do, and I think that's what we're going to see in the future. So takeaways from this: technology is only getting better. I mean, that's not surprising. I'm really sad that wasn't a video game and it was only a tech demo. Interweaving gaming platforms so that we can play together, whether you're on PS4, Nintendo, Xbox, PC, cell phone. If you have the capability to play, we should all be able to play together. We're not gamers on separate consoles. We're gamers. Bring us together. That's how the gaming community is going to grow and expand and be more accepted and widespread. And so I'm looking forward to see what else we get out of Summer Game Fest. I do think, as I said, we're going to get some gameplay. I think on Thursday I'm going to be doing another Rad Reviews. I will not be live doing that one. I'm going to be recording that outside of my stream. And then I'm going to be posting that to YouTube. That's for Ghost of Tsushima. And then in June, the same weekend, there's the EA Play live stream with their announcements, and then there's the next day is the Ubisoft announcements, which I'm excited for. I'm personally looking forward to any and all Valhalla, anything we get, but also I'm hoping for some sort of Far Cry announcement because it's been a couple years. So anyway, this has been another rendition of Rad Reviews. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to stop my recording for you guys who are in stream. We're going to switch back over to some gameplay in Destiny 2. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to the channel. I do Rad Reviews when I want to review something, and of course over the summer there's going to be a lot more because we're getting a lot of game information. Thank you guys so much, and I will catch you on the next one. Most importantly, please stay rad. See you guys later.